Welcome to the very first Zambia Impact Investment Summit. We are very excited to explore with you amazing content which we've created to drive conversation and actions in some of the pressing issues affecting our impact investment ecosystem today. Throughout the summit, we'll be exploring on how we can unlock both domestic but also foreign capital to achieve social and environmental impact, fostering an enabling policy and regulatory environment for impact investment. Within here, we'll be sharing insights on ways in which policy and regulations can be improved to support innovations and impact investment. The last but not the least is building a cohesive ecosystem to support small and medium businesses. Our goal is that this summit will provide a platform to collectively work together across sectors and disciplines to share insight and also offer tangible solutions to Zambia's challenges and also act on the change that we want to see.
This summit has brought key stakeholders in the Zambian impact investment space, including government, to brainstorm and interrogate possible solutions to the challenges Zambia is facing in the social and environmental space. Our vision as a National Advisory Board is to have a prosperous Zambia driven by inclusive green growth and sustainable development. Our primary role is to mobilize stakeholders and resources to support the creation of a private sector-driven impact economy. We, as a National Advisory Board, do have the conviction that the timing is now right for the impact investment model to be harnessed to scale up innovations and help address these challenges. The crisis we are facing is a clear exhibit of failure of traditional approaches to resolving social and environmental challenges. We must embrace and leverage impact investment if Zambia is to accelerate the desired progress towards achieving a green economy. This inaugural Zambia Impact Investment Summit 2021 has been organized to primarily achieve three outcomes. One, collect new insights from stakeholders and innovations that offer tangible solutions required to achieve scale and impact. Two, establish innovative impact policy recommendations and action frameworks which the National Advisory Board and other stakeholders within the ecosystem can use to engage and act upon. And three, advance partnerships and alliances among players working or intending to work in the impact investment ecosystem in order to help accelerate progress on progressing and emerging issues of collaboration. Beyond the summit, we shall be knocking on your doors to engage and partner with you so that you become an integral part of the work process to create and deliver a private sector-driven impact economy in Zambia. Thank you very much.
One of the reasons why I'm so pleased to be here today and excited for the possibilities of the coming years is because there is without doubt a quality and depth of people here in Zambia for which there are real opportunities. But when it comes to the current focus on impact investment, the UK and the UK's Foreign Commonwealth Development Office have been pleased to play a key role in the leadership, formalisation and broadening of this key movement. We have a keen interest in supporting the Zambian private sector to access impact investment in order for them to come up with innovative, sustainable solutions to social and environmental problems. Prospero, through direct and indirect means, have so far facilitated about $100 million to Zambian businesses in a number of sectors, including affordable housing, renewable energy, agriculture and agricultural processing. Impact investing harnesses the forces of entrepreneurship, private capital and innovation to confront today's social and environmental challenges. We're very hopeful that our support to the National Advisory Board through Prospero will complement the government's effort of promoting a conducive environment for investors. We will continue to support the National Advisory Board to conduct research that will inform the government on policy direction that needs to be taken to create an enabling environment for SMEs to access impact investment and further add to economic growth and job creation. 2 weeks ago in London, the UK and Zambia signed a Green Growth Compact. Through the compact, we've focused on a number of objectives to support sustainable growth in Zambia, including facilitating a further £100 million of financing to Zambian SMEs, delivering £500 million of investment into the clean energy sector, and upholding the highest standards of environmental and social standards for all the businesses that we support. I hope you'll all find the next couple of days valuable and informative, and you go away from here with increased excitement and energy for delivering in the coming months and years. Thank you very much.
The government of Finland is very excited to be part of this effort and to sponsor this summit, which is an important instrument in encouraging investment, promoting access to finance, and in speeding up economic growth. We continue to be committed partners of Zambia in supporting the private sector and MSMEs in line with the priorities of the Zambian government. Zambia and Finland share a long-standing partnership, which has been focused on the private sector for several years already. Our role in this summit should be seen in the context of our many private sector activities in Zambia, including the Accelerated Growth for SMEs in Zambia, AGS program. The investment summit that we are kicking off today is an important stepping stone in promoting green recovery, innovation, and solutions that meet local needs, especially of those most vulnerable. We hope that it will result in numerous partnerships in sustainable, inclusive, and green initiatives. We look forward to a fruitful event that will help Zambian companies make a difference in society and economy through their innovations, solutions, and products in promoting sustainable, inclusive, and green recovery and growth. Thank you for listening, and I hope this will be an extraordinarily good summit. Thank you. Bye-bye.
This important summit has brought together leaders from business, government, diplomatic corps, cooperating partners, and civil society, among others, for collective action to shape a trajectory of the impact investment ecosystem in Zambia. This inaugural Zambia Impact Investment Summit 2021 will provide the much-needed synergies among all stakeholders, share new insights and innovations that offer tangible solutions to Zambia's challenges, create innovative impact policy recommendations, action frameworks, and methodologies to advance cooperation, advance partnerships, alliances, and consortia that can rapidly accelerate progress on pressing and emerging issues. As the government, we are resolute to building a sustainable, inclusive, and green recovery. We attach great importance to greening our economy and ensuring that our development agenda takes into consideration the need to conserve our environment. For Zambia to transition from the current development pathway to a low-carbon, climate-resilient economy, we will require significant investment and innovation. More importantly, there is need for a paradigm shift in the way governments and the private sector make decisions. With these few remarks, I am pleased now to declare this important summit officially open. Thank you and God bless you. End of quote.
2024. And the title of this session is How Can We Bridge the Gap Between the Impact Investment Industry and Zambia's Pension Funds?
Basically, when you compare and look at the numbers of impact investments recorded last year, you will notice that it's actually less than $50 million. To kick off the session, I'll give each of my panelists 2 minutes to basically just give a high-level introduction about who they are and the organizations that they represent.
I think there's enough in the book for private equity. We've done quite a bit so far, but we still scope for more.
There is willingness, but the risk is still much higher for NABII.
Talking about the willingness, especially to the pension fund being in place, but the risk being so high for NABII, really, this can work to resolve that problem. So obviously, the large ticket size of 10 grand above that we referred to wouldn't be solved.
It's almost a circular economy. You put the money in, you may not get the full from return on it, but because you've created sustainable businesses which employ people, your pull into that goes up. And so you will not lose in the long term. You're going to have this circle going round for you to be able to pay.
Do you think we'd actually have any issues, I think, in greening these guidelines and for you, to participate in some of these, green asset classes? Thank you.
So I think that once the process is complete, once we announce our investment strategy, we're going to see quite a lot of those asset classes being added to the book.
I'm glad to note that NABII have been doing the investment policies now. And because the guideline just came into place, all the other pension schemes should be doing around the same thing. So it should,
As an app, I think we should be putting together a business plan, strategic in nature, that we can systematically monitor and see what timelines and protocols we make going forward. Otherwise, it will remain retrograde.
An exciting panel today. I think just it's a timely discussion on tourism, given Zambia's current stance on using tourism to drive as one of our economic drivers.
Regardless of where you're from, you're taking these things into your life, you're giving these things into your community, you're participating, and they're a much wider, they play a much wider role than simply as a means for kind of commercial activity.
So what will motivate somebody to come to Zambia and invest their money? It's the cultural sector, it's the cultural asset.
If there are opportunities to see businesses like Good Nature in the early stage, be able to leverage more commercial capital by de-risking some of the investment, then those are the things that we should be doing.
It came up a lot this morning around data being the key tool for the future.
We will encourage it in terms of accessing finance, what they need to put in place if they have to survive in that climate smart agriculture space, so to say.
Without really focusing on, one, what the farmers needed or wanted, so we were kind of missing the impact mark, and two, what really matters to the investors down the line as well, because they're not going to focus on your revenue growth forever.
For me, I think we also need to look at investing in preparatory facilities. These aspects of audit reports, standards, food safety and stuff like that, so that we up, the game and the standards of these SMEs so that they can actually, participate equitably on some of these platforms. Otherwise, so far, most of these impact investing, funds, by design, they're actually excluding most of the local SMEs. Thank you.
I agree with you, but I don't think that anything should be placed at the foot of the larger investors necessarily. We need to build new things. We need to encourage more groups like Prospero, who are focusing at an earlier stage of ventures.
We can begin to build businesses from the base, going upwards, and by the time that there are big investments or big challenge funds that require all those criteria that you mentioned, they're actually businesses, local Zambian businesses that are going to take them. So there's a lot of work to be done.
And as startups or small businesses or businesses that are looking to scale, relationships with investors are quite critical or important.
We look at two things. We look at the commercial viability and we look at the impact thesis. And both of them have to stack up to a minimum scale for us to be interested in. So how do we make money? So it depends on how we have chosen to invest or the investment that we require. So unlike most funds, we are capable of, we're able to provide a community type solution. By providing solutions that work in those kinds of situations, that's how we make our money. We'll give you a grace of score for a year, 2 years, when you start paying interest. If your existing business, at the level which your existing business can, roll up the rest. When you start again in 2 years' time, we would get an appropriate return for that kind of flexibility.
And then I would mention, from our outside of the Zambian office situation, any financial and impact investor in the capital markets industry, please design products that can feed women, let them grow, let them shine, let them rise.
There are any other incentives that the central bank is trying to release to engage or to encourage the financial sector to start behaving in a manner that helps mitigate these challenges? We must confess that we are in the early stages of developing those guidelines, which will help to identify what kind of incentives they can provide. How does the Bank of Zambia do the new cyber security and data protection laws in terms of them enabling or restricting the desired traction towards a green financial system? The banking sector is prone to attacks. It's quite economic because everybody, that's what I think all of us did here. Our focus really is to see how we can safeguard the amount of information that comes to our possession. So much as we may have some sense here and there without it, but look at the bigger picture. What are they trying to do? They are trying to protect all of us.
So we coming into this particular topic in the sense that when it comes to major control, you find that some of these sectors will find some of these green investments will come into the country, and then in order for them to come in, they have to follow through certain procedure with the Commission in terms of major regulation. When you just mentioned that when it comes to green investments, it will depend on whether that particular enterprise has a turnover, they're already generating a turnover within Zambia. And if they are generating a turnover, then they'll have to come to the Commission to seek approval, because they need to seek approval, because the main thing that we'll be looking for is the prospect of anti-competitive effects that are likely to arise from that particular agreement or reinvestment that's coming in.
On camera, we discussed something really unusual. We talked about access for SMEs to the law also extends to the way that the law is written to make it easy to understand, so that a startup can pick up the legislation and understand what it means and apply.
Absolutely. I mean, in the digital world, living in the digital world currently, everyone has access to these statutes. But the question is, how accessible is the content in those statutes? What's the quality of the legislation that we have? And I think it's one of the challenges that was identified in the report that was launched yesterday.
I do think that when there are challenges, it's important that you leverage the strength and the developments, the good things that are taking place, and address the shortcomings or whatever is not working well. So I hope you can see that happen in terms of what we're testing in this session.
So I think that there's a need for collaborations across different, players. Even those that in the impact investment space, we can bring in other, social aspects which are critical for impact investment, blending with the environmental, matrices, and we avoid, being a repository of different documents. Already we have a tag at Zambia, but we're very good at sending out beautiful documents, plenty of them, but then into action. So let's push for collaborations, towards regulatory reforms, and then we see a lot more, I think, traction on the ground. Thank you.
And as I mentioned as well, we're in the process of amending our act. So it's just to urge all the business community and just the SMEs in particular that if there are any issues that you have noted within the law that you feel could be improved upon, there's still time right now to come through to the Commission and make those suggestions.
Now we're moving on to support the development of Zambia's green finance policy for the entire financial sector. So that's the banking sector, the capital markets, and also the pension and insurance. And then we'll also be supporting the development of a tagging or reporting system for the financial sector. So that's what we're doing. Now back to my panel. Perhaps I can actually start with you, Nansala. I think there's a buzzword around nature-based solutions. Just give us some kind of nature-based solutions 101. What's this, and what are you doing as the bigger group in that space? Thank you.
Nature-based solution is a term, as one has said, that's gaining traction as we're looking at types of investments that are done to either protect, restore, or manage natural or modified ecosystems that deliver services. And so the whole idea of nature-based systems is not only to protect and restore nature, but also to use them to solve societal problems. In this case, the problems that come with climate change. So the problems around droughts, the problems around flooding. Some nature-based solutions are delivered to nature to solve, for example, some health problems. When you look at agriculture, for example, conservation agriculture, there are natural methods that are used to deal with soil fertility. There are natural methods that are used to deal with, say, for example, the problem of pesticides.
The critical advantage we have as DBZ is that we are able then, as a financial institution, to blend the right financing with the DCA together with credit financing, in financing a specific project. We are also able to provide co-financing on some of those projects and make them more bankable this kind of process?
These days our tagline is we're making conservation profitable. When we provide the markets, Komako has manufacturing processing plants in the eastern province, in the western province, and we're just approaching the Mumbai and Teshi area as well. And there we actually then produce peanut butter. Most of you that have tasted the Eastbound range of peanut butter, Eastbound honey, and another whole range of products. And we provide markets for these farmers, value add to all the products that the farmers are producing. And that's where Komako comes in. So it's a whole value chain of trying to mitigate the gaps that are there in not just preserving our environments, but also ensuring that this is a continual process.
And the objective of this fund is to support the businesses that are impacted by climate change in countries such as ours, support them make the transition in terms of the production methods to perhaps more sustainable ways of producing to more sustainable ways of producing, where they're also able to adapt and make adjustments to the impacts of climate. So as an office, we have a team that looks at the various projects and that gives advice to companies that have applied for this funding.
But we basically realized that if we could focus on people that were who had the same, more or less like mission or vision that we had, people who were focusing on supporting early stage businesses, that's something we didn't understand early on in terms of understanding the size of your business. We got to understand and more or less profile the kind of investors we were looking for. So when we started targeting the kind of investors we were looking for who would focus on early stage businesses, women-led businesses that were focused on impact, we finally got our yes in December 2020 from Enigma Ventures. That was $650,000 US.
For us, when we started, when we were looking at funding, we had to, we're a startup at that point. So we went on to the Innovation Against Poverty Award, which is a matching grant. So whatever we invested, we could match against that grant, our personal investment. We did go through a process of fundraising, but at that time, the economic situation in the country was not conducive to the investors we were talking to. So one of them actually backed out at the last point. So for us, it was, okay, what do we do now? So we had to break down our investment requirements into what is manageable at this point. And that was our strategy of adapting to the situation. So we had, we were glad that the likes of Prospero came in. So when we're looking at what is the key points, we managed to bring out a program where with partners we distributed seed to farmers through community health entrepreneurs. And that program enabled us to get the beans at a reasonable price, and we're able to also get some capital to buy that beans production from the farmers and bring it into our factory.
So you find that if you understand what your customer goes through, for example, and then you provide a solution that meets that need and makes it convenient for our customers, some of them would not even have to leave their market stand. They've been borrowing from us and they still access our services from where they are. We are providing ease, we are providing convenience. So because we understand our customer, it's easy to maintain our customers with us. It's easy to attract new customers with us because we're not providing traditional lending. And it's easy and affordable for us because we're using technology, which lowers our operational costs. Plus we manage a lean model. So basically within the competition, what makes you survive is collaborations and partnerships. To register the business, it should be easy for a local entrepreneur, not difficult with these kind of fees. So the same fees I'll pay is the same kind of fees someone else who has much bigger funding or coming from another country coming to register here in Zambia. So I think we should make it more favorable for entrepreneurs to start up and develop their ideas.
Social enterprises are businesses whose core mission is to have a positive social or environmental impact while generating a profitable income. So I'm sure you can already connect how the two are coming together. So in this particular session, we're talking about collaborations between corporate and businesses.
In essence, in terms of the economic graph, you've almost caused there to be a shortage because we haven't found the solution to how we get Zambians to start growing primary production, primary food, and at the same time you've slowed down the volume of imports coming in. And that's just caused the people that are producing locally to increase their price to import parity. And quite frankly, what that's had as a direct translation to each of us every day is the price of food has gone up 65% in 18 months.
Realize that if you're in Eastern Province, you tend to keep or grow what is easily available, which is maize, tobacco, cotton. And if you are down on the side of Western Province, then you are doing your typical cattle and things like that. So the question then is, if you desire to start vegetables, how do you do that? If you want to get up culture, how do you do that? How do you get fish nets? How do you get the hooks? How do you get the feed for the fish and the aerators and all those things? How do you find them when you are so far away and there are no local shops there? Typical agro dealer does not have enough capital to stock those items in his shop, so you can be able to walk in easily and buy them.
Part of our strategy, once we had defined what we are, was to widen the net. Is the reason we moved away from just fish as a primary product. So it certainly isn't impossible for us to actually have our trucks going to the rural areas if we indeed find the right suppliers around quality, pricing, etc., etc. So we are looking to take our business closer to the market in terms of the suppliers as well.
I'd like you to speak around possible solutions to some of those challenges. In the market, in regulated areas, and allow them to operate for at least 2 years, to at least seek market and test that that's something that can actually. And the market always wins. So the market will either reject the idea or accept the idea. And if it's accepted, then we put some cycle of growth that then allows them to then take them towards investor readiness and have the conversation that then appeals to an angel that then says, hi, based on this traction, based on if the customers are interested in this product, and that it's actually working, here's the opportunity for growth.
So describe the ideal process, but not everybody gets into an incubator. But it's extremely helpful to have the incubator process accessible to as many startups and early stage enterprises as possible, because they deal with a lot of the kind of challenges that an angel investor would then otherwise have to be dealing with. And they've got limited capacity and limited bandwidth in terms of how much capital they can actually put in and how much time they can commit. So it's an ideal process. The reality, however, is that the bulk of people that will turn up looking for angel investors are far more than any of the incubators can accommodate. Secondly, I think it's so important to mainstream and localize the development of the kind of technologies that will make it far easier for small enterprises to access things like funding. You now have software that records inventory and can produce a profit and loss account or a balance sheet on a daily basis. That starts to get rid of some of the information asymmetries and the challenges around being able to pull the kind of data. And we heard that discussed already in various times. In fact, this morning, the governor of the central bank mentioned the fact that it's now possible to do remote audits of banks. And that's because you've got standard software now that will determine this.